Hello! So I'm going to go over my coloring and shading style today because it has been requested that I make a tutorial walkthrough type thing of my process. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through like bare basics and I don't know, just so everyone is on the same page as me, or at least try to. So I have color palettes for my characters, and I usually will pick base color of, if there's two characters, I pick the color of who is most visible, and in this case it is Lilith, this character here. So I just do fill bucket on a new layer underneath my liner, and I take the wand tool. I usually have my color margin around 20 to 40, and the area scaling stays between 0 and 5. So I just select the areas that I don't want any color, which would be outside of the liner. And if I don't get everything the first try, that's fine. After that, I go to the paper layer, and I change it to a darker color. Usually I go for purple. It's just what I find is easiest to see if there is any bleed outside of the liner. So usually there isn't that much of a bleed because of my wand settings, so that'll be very important to play around with and see what works for you. It will change depending on brush. So what I mean by bleed is little areas like this where it's outside of the liner. So I just go through with my eraser and get rid of those spots. Pretty self-explanatory. There are some spots where it doesn't tape to the liner well, so it looks like this, but the liner is actually like longer than that, so I just go in with my normal G pen. Actually, it's too big of a size for my liking, so I'm going to go down to 10 instead of 25, and I just kind of bring it out. It's not really something super noticeable until later, once I do some stuff with my liner that you'll see later. So then it looks like that, and it looks much better. I usually try to start at the top of the drawing. It doesn't make that much of a difference, but it just helps me make sure that I've gotten all of the areas without missing any. I will also say that I easily switch between my eraser brush and my coloring brush with the button on my pen, and I keep my left hand on Control Z. While I do this, there are sometimes spots, like right here, where my liner, there's just like a weird stroke that I forgot to erase or didn't notice. So I'll go through and then erase it and go back to doing coloring. This is the part of my entire process where I'm the most zoomed in, I'd say. So I tend to notice little things here and there with the line art that I just go in and fix real quick. Like, there is a line here, and I don't want that, so I just erased it. See here, I have a lot of spots that I did not erase for the line art, so I'm just going in, erasing them, getting them touched up. And then I carry on. And that brings me back to where I started. So now, actually, hold on. There's a spot here that I missed. Okay, so now, on to the next step. I make a new layer above my base layer, which I'll actually go ahead and name. I only name them when it's a bigger project. Otherwise, I can usually keep track of what's what, but for the sake of this tutorial, I will name them. This is the base layer, what we just worked on. Now I'm going to make the base color for Sunny, which is this lion character here, if you don't know who that is. So I have another palette here for Sunny. I'm going to take this and make it 20 pixels, the brush size, and then I just go in and I clip the layer, which is right here, and that means that my color, this is hard to see, so I'm going to change it real fast. The color stays inside of the base layer. If I take off the clipping layer, it goes outside the liner and outside of the base layer. So, the base layer is very important for me. So I'm going to get Sunny's color and go back to 20, and let me put it off the clipping layer real fast. Let me show you what I do. I normally go around and I make sure that I stay within where I want Sunny's color to be. So this is Lilith's arm, so I need to go around that. And don't be afraid to zoom in, don't be afraid to zoom out. They're both very important, and you also should remember to flip your canvas if you are working on a sketch or line art, where honestly, any time is good, but definitely during those two. Normally I do this process with the clipping layer already on, but I want to show you what I'm doing more clearly. So I'm leaving it off until I have all of this done, and I think I do now. So what I do now is I get my fill bucket, and I have it at, the color margin is 10 and the area scaling is 10. So then I just fill it in, and then you clip the layer, and bam! Base color for Sunny is done in the upper area. So I'm just going to do that same thing now, but with the clipping layer still on, and this is how I would normally do it. Fill bucket, and it's filled in. I'm just going to hand do this one without the fill bucket. And then the lower half of their body. And you know, these colors are both very similar, and I'm having a hard time making sure I've gotten all the way. So I'm going to take Lilith's color, and I made a new layer above the base layer and underneath Sunny's layer. I'm just going to do that, and I'll delete this later once I'm done with Sunny's colors. This is just so that I can make sure I don't have any areas like, where'd it go? Like this, where if that didn't get filled in, I would never notice. And there are some other areas up here, looks like. Sometimes I might accidentally go over, or it'll be like that if I don't notice. So it's okay to add new layers. Oh, there's another spot here. It's okay to add new layers and delete them later if they're just temporary. Don't be scared to use however many layers you want, unless you know you have a program or an app that prohibits you from using a lot of layers. So then I can just easily go like this, make sure I get all of the tail, and then just swoop across the canvas and fill bucket, and done. Now I can get rid of the dark layer there. Now we have this. So for this part I transfer it to the lower layer. This means I mean you can do either, but it just leaves a clip layer above, and then I can easily start coloring right after. So I tend to start coloring whoever's palette I'm already on, and in this case I'm already on Sunny. So with Sunny, the dark blue color is what I usually start with, because most of their markings that are dark blue are underneath hair or underneath other things that are going to be covered up later by other colors. So this just ensures that I am not spending as much time erasing things or focusing on like if I were to have, let's say I had the hair done already, and actually I had the hair done already, and I'm trying to do a dot, and then I have to get the hair color again, and then I have to carefully fill it in. So I just over time have learned what colors need to be done in a specific order so that I can get rid of that longer process. Same goes with the ears. They'll be yellow later, and this is usually a pretty messy process because I just go crazy with the lines. So it's just better for me to use the blue now than later. Oh, I just realized there's another color, or another spot here that did not get colored, so I'm going to do that now. Sometimes that happens. It's okay. You can always go in and fix it. And I did not lock the transparency. So locking transparency is similar to clip layer group. It just means that you're still working on the base layer instead of a layer above it. It works better for certain things and some other things it won't work well for. So you just gotta play around with it a bit. And then I'm gonna take it off the transparency lock and then get back to what I was doing. Then I come up here, grab the blue, none of their other fur showing. So now I'm gonna do their tail. I tend to struggle getting their stripes just right, like lengthwise. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They need 9. I usually have to play with it a bit before I get it right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's try that. And with this, I'm going to unclip the layer and just make a line so that when I fill the stripes, it doesn't fill the rest of the canvas. Let me actually show you. Hold on. So if I tried to fill this spot here, it then fills everything. So that's why I do this line. I want to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. These lines that cover it from going outside of where I want it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm silly. I don't need that one. Okay. And sometimes I'll make them longer. Just depends. And I think they actually all look pretty good lengthwise. So that's done. Now I like to do their nose, since it's just one spot. Next I will go ahead and get this color for their tongue. Oh, I've been using his old pronouns. My bad. Sunny uses he, him now instead of they, them. So, tongue. I then take my lasso tool, select around the tongue, and I then take my gradient and I get the tongue tip color. I did not lock transparency. There we go. Now it just stays right where I want it. And now he has his tongue. And then the piercing, the cheek color, or inner cheek, and teeth. It's already coming together. So now I'm going to take this color, which is his eyes and his ears, and I'm going to do, hold on, actually I'm going to erase a little bit of that, cover it up. Don't mind his hair, it doesn't matter right now. Make sure I got all the blue areas. Bam, now his ears are colored. And I'm going to color his tail because it is the same color as his ears. And I'm now going to do his hair. I rely on the fill bucket a lot. Some people would be manually filling this all in, but I just think it's easier to do an outline of color and then fill it in. But it's really up to preference. I think manually coloring it in takes longer, but honestly, if you get it done, then you get it done. It doesn't matter how it gets done. So do whatever makes you happy. And sometimes when I fill bucket, there are little points that are left behind. So just go in, color them with a brush, and carry on. Oh, and now that that is done, I forgot I need to do his paw pads, which are the same color as his ears and his tail. I will also say that keyboard shortcuts are really important. I neglected them for a long time, and I finally started using them some years ago, and it has completely changed how I work. It wasn't quick. I hated using them at first, but now like I use my spacebar to quickly move around on the canvas instead of bringing my hand up to the corner and like doing this. It seems small, but it all adds up time-wise, and I highly recommend prioritizing using keyboard shortcuts. So, that being said, I'm going to grab my wand tool, and nope, I guess the line art suit then. Wait, no, I will take it down to 20, the color margin, and it, how do I describe color margin? Kind of like bleed, like I was talking about earlier. The higher the color margin is, the less it will pay attention to the line art around it. It's paying attention to the black pixels, and if I put it at 20, for example, it'll focus to this thin line of black here, whereas if I have it at 40, it won't, and it'll completely go over it, but it won't go over these thicker lines because it's thicker. So it struggles to go over it as much at 40%, but if I put it at like 100, it would probably go over the thicker lines. So that is what that does. And there's a little spot here. But just for certain areas like markings, I usually will use the wand tool. I don't really know why that is. It's just preference, I guess. But that's done. So Sunny is now fully colored, so now I'm going to move on to Lilith, who I'm still working on remembering her design. So I'm pulling up her ref right now. Okay, I have another monitor that I usually use for having ref sheets open for like commissions and stuff, or OCs, whatever. So now I'm going to make another layer above Sunny, and I'm doing it above because Lilith is mostly in front of Sunny. And it's going to make this a lot easier for me. I just realized there's another spot that is supposed to be Sunny's fur color. So I'm putting the transparency lock on the base layer once again and just coloring over the spot. Now I'm done. So I'm gonna go back to Lilith. Let me rename this Sunny, and I'll name this Lilith. And then I go to Lilith's palette, and I am still figuring out which colors need to come first for her, but I'm going to start with her eyes, or her eye markings, I should say, and her ears. That's because there is going to be color over not only the eyes, but over these fluffs here. And I also need to do her tail. Next, I am going to take this color here and do her hair and some other markings. So let's see, now I'm going to go down to the here, and let's see, grab that color again. Lilith has a very gradient heavy body, So I'm going to make another layer beneath the Lilith layer, and I am going to color the rest of her tail. So I do it beneath so that I'm not covering this dark purple stripe I did earlier. I just do that, and then I can go in and get rid of that. Okay, and look at that, I did not completely fill it in. Oh, I didn't go all the way. Here we go. Okay, where is it not fully filled in? Sometimes you have, oh, it was probably somewhere in there then. Okay, so now that is done, I am going to lock transparent, the transparent pixels, locking those again. And now I'm going to gradient the tail. So the top here is lighter blue. It goes about mid-tail, like so, and then, if I can get it right, okay. I'm going to do the same with the Lilith layer, which is where this dark purple stripe is, and I'm going to take this dark blue and do the same thing. Try to match them up evenly so that they blend well. There we go, seamless. So now I can take off the transparency lock on both, and let's see. Now I need to do her thighs. This color goes to her knees and it blends out, so I'm going to blend it in a moment. Basically, I just focus on getting the main area done and then leave a little extra space for where I plan on blending it. Let's see, I'm gonna go like that. Bam. And then I'm going to use my wand tool and select here because she has a very soft kind of blend looking thing on her her waist. And it blends to her back. Goes here, and I think I went a little high up, so I'm going to take my soft eraser brush and just bring it down a bit. And I can deselect as well because I'm done in that area. And now there's that. And now I'm going to go down here with the wand tool again, and I can get the airbrush and softly blend. I actually should only have this leg selected first. Then I can go over to this leg and select it. There we go. Actually, you can still see the line a little bit. Let me take a smaller brush. There we go. All blended. And her feet are this dark color here. I'm actually going to do one leg again, one leg at a time. Deselect it, go to the other leg, get the gradient tool, and do the same thing. And then I will go ahead and do paw pads, but I'm going to do those on this upper layer here that I have, because later I'm going to make another layer above this layer for the stars that she has on her feet and also on her hip. So I'm doing, like I said, the paw pads on the upper layer that I currently have. So that's that, and then I have one other spot that I need. Just realized a little more blending needs to happen to this leg over here, so I'm gonna get the airbrush again and just do that. There we go, now you can't tell. Okay, back to what I was doing. I'm going to dust the shoulders a bit, get my normal eraser and make sure the neck is normal, and now I'm gonna get this other shoulder, once again make sure the neck doesn't have any purple over it. And now let's see, what else else can go ahead and do the nose because I forgot to do that. And now let's see. Looks like I did the purple. I'm going to actually erase this here because there are stars in that patch of purple and I want them on the lower layer, so I'm redoing it. Now that means I can do the eye color, which I have saved. And the eye color is also the color I use for her teeth. This usually goes for all my characters unless they have a different teeth color than like white. I'm pretty strict about not using a flat black or flat white. I think it is a lot more interesting to change the hue of teeth and eyes and stuff, and it's more natural. Unless, you know, you have purple teeth like Lilith. So there's a little pupil, and I like to just go in above the line art layer, and I switch to the white over here, and I take bright blue, turquoise, teal, whatever. Just do a little eye shine thing, and I will name this eye shine just because. And I'll also name this line art. And because I'm merging layers later, I don't need to name this one yet. So now Lilith's tongue, which did I ever actually come up with a color for her tongue? I don't think I did. I'm looking through my drawings of her and I did not. So you know what, we're going with purple. Because purple's cool. Get the tooth. Oh, I know what I forgot. I'm going to use my lasso tool, select around the hair, and make sure not to get the eye color, and then I will take my gradient tool. I will do the hair. Oop, nope. I also need to transparency lock the layer. There we go. Now, the stars. So this might be a little more confusing, but I take my spray tool, which is basically airbrush. It's in that section. I'm gonna get white for the stars, and let's see. Go down, I don't know, 5 for the particle size, why not? Well, maybe a little bit smaller. Yeah, let's do 3 or 4. Let me see what 4 looks like. 4 is pretty good, okay. So, I want to make a layer above the cheeks and such, the purple light brushed areas, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to turn the clipping off on that layer. Oh, I accidentally didn't get rid of that. It's gonna look a little weird. I will say that. I'm turning off this upper layer here as well. Or actually I need to unclip it. There we go. Now I have this new layer that I made. Let's just name it stars for now to make this be a little more comprehensive. Just to make it less confusing. Let's turn that layer off altogether. So now I have this layer clipped to these airbrushed areas, which is where I want my stars to be. So I am going to take my spray brush and just put stars in here. And this will all make sense in a moment, hopefully. This is making it so that it can't go out of this area where I have things airbrushed. And if I don't like the placement that they land, I just undo it and start over again. And I'm going to go 2 particle sizes smaller and do some smaller details. And go down here, do the same with the hips, and make it bigger again. I had it at 4. Get rid of any stray ones that I don't want. And down here, And now, this is the fun part. This is where I do it two ways. Just either one works. Either make the layer an add glow layer, which makes it all glowy. You can see the difference. Makes it glowy. Or what I've been doing more recently, put it back on a normal layer. I will go to border effect and then watercolor edge. And it just adds this little glow, and it looks so pretty. I just love it so much. You can do that with the blur tool as well, but the process would be longer and a little bit different. So either works, but I really like this. I usually will set it to 3 for the range, and for the opacity I set it to 15. It's more subtle. And then what I do now is I merge this layer below to the purple airbrushed areas. Turn this layer back on, the Lilith layer, the one that's been above, and I turn the clipping back on both of these. Now we're back to normal from where we started, but we have stars. So yeah. And that just keeps all of the stars in the right place. So yeah. I just realized I need to add stars to the tail. So I am actually gonna go back to where I was and just add some stars, because I totally forgot. There we go. Okay, now merge it, turn both back on. You can even select both layers. Do that, bam. Look at that. That is great. This is great. They're so cute. Okay. So, now that I've done the stars, that means that all of the base colors, or flat colors, not base color, flat colors are done. I can now safely merge the Lilith colors, and I'm going to rename it. Nope, I did not spell that right. Lilith. So now we have Lilith and Sunny's colors. I'm going to change the background color to something more desirable now that I have these colors down. And this can change later, but I usually go for pink because that's just pink or purple. Those are the main colors I use in my art. I might go with purple for this, I think. I don't know. Maybe try yellow. What happens if I try yellow? It doesn't convey the emotion that I want. I don't know. It's a good color, but it only works with certain things to me. Okay. Well, just play around, honestly. It's just what I do. Gonna try with that. I usually will gradient my backgrounds later, and I honestly might change this from purple to something else. Who knows? Just depends on the shading, how everything looks at the end. We'll see.